What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and today we're having a look at the Kizuna Clash upcoming against Alber. Remember that there's two different forms of the Kizuna Clash. You have the 10-star difficulty normal Kizuna, and you also have the 15-star super boss Kizuna. So this video is just pertaining to the easy version of the Kizuna Clash, the 10-star difficulty, which you have to go ahead and farm to get the super boss coins in order for you to challenge the super boss. So I'm going to have a separate video in regards to super boss, because that is the more important component of this quest, really, working with your alliance to beat that super boss. So as I said, today we're just talking about the 10-star difficulty. I've got a team for each of the variations, and we'll talk more about like what they're kind of wanting you to do against each of these quests here. Starting January 23rd, which is actually going to be starting very, very soon. So I wanted to get these videos out for you guys right before the Kizuna Clash came out, so we can have a fair understanding of what we should be expecting heading into this event period. So having a look at our first boss is going to be the quick 10-star difficulty. This quest requires you to bring a team of strikers, cerebrals, or free spirit, or alternatively, if you have those new boosters, the Frankie and the Marco, etc., you can obviously bring those too. But for battle number 2, so stage 2, the enemy does really annoying stuff where they do 150,000 damage to your team when you kill them, so you have to have some type of way to tank the hit. There's also the preemptive action of 5 turns of attack down, 2 turns of increased damage taken, and the enemy also has 2 turns of damage threshold. So there's like a lot of really annoying things here. Now, what I found to be one of the most perfect units in this quest is going to be Nami and Karina. More importantly, on the Karina side, her special ability allows you to remove damage threshold by 6 turns. It also allows you to remove 6 turns of attack down, and then it also says that it will give you on your side of the field a 5,000 damage threshold for 1 turn. So that's obviously fantastic. It also gives you a 2.25 times orb boost that can be overwritten, just giving you lots of damage. So Karina straight up counters every component on stage 2. It tanks the hit, removes the attack down, as well as goes ahead and removes the threshold. If you don't have Nami Karina, you do have to break it down into separate components. You know, a character that can remove attack down and tank damage, or a character that can, you know, remove the threshold and tank damage, or something that can remove attack down and then remove the threshold. It is about finding different components that can take it down, because Nami Karina is the only character that can remove everything here. There is another component though. You do get given increased damage taken, which if you have a very good damage reduction, you don't have to worry about it. But on this team, we do have this Wiper who does have the potential ability of provoked attack / removing increased damage taken, so he'll remove that debuff for us. But when we move on to the final stage, level 31 and above, of course, we'll have a look at those gimmicks. You'll see that there is going to be a full immunity, but it's allowing you to use defense down, which is kind of cool because the enemy has a really high defense, so you can actually apply defense down to the opponent, which is why we have Wiper on this team. So Wiper is a free-to-play unit, by the way. If you don't have him, you can just go ahead over to the Rumble shop and you can pick him up for 35 red tickets. It's very easy to get, and you don't even really need to limit break him. He comes at like max special, so you don't really have to worry about it, but his special ability is really good. It does have a health cutting component, which is another good component because the enemy stuns you. This special allows you to get around that, but it also will remove enemies' defense or sets their defense to 0 and gives you a 2 times conditional against defense down. Like, this character is perfect, and he's free to play, very accessible, and he has that potential ability to remove increased damage taken on the previous stage. I'm also using Zoro as the captain this time around, mainly because I wanted a character to remove stun, and he actually dealt that before I even had a look about Wiper anyway. But Zoro is a great captain because this Zoro has a super class that gives you a 2.5 attack boost to your slasher and free spirit characters, so that's obviously very good. And his special ability does a lot of good things. Obviously the health cut does damage, removes damage reduction, which is key because the enemy does have 5 turns of damage reduction. His special gets around that, but we would ideally go ahead and use, you know, Wiper first, and then go ahead and use Hiyori, because Hiyori gives you a full board of Wano slots, because every other slot is going to be counted as non-beneficial or unfavorable, so that's going to be important. So, you know, with Hiyori giving you a full board of Wano, you use the Zoro special, it's going to go ahead and allow you to get the chain tap timing bonus damage as well. And then for the other characters here, you do see I have like a free spot on my crew because Nami Karina deals with so much on stage 2. I've opted to put the Robin and Koala character because we can use their switch effect on stage 2, we can use their special ability on stage 2, and it basically means that we'll have color affinity and an orb boost for stage 2 and stage 3 for Dex, Int, and Cerebral. And because the whole team is basically going to be a dex team, ideally, then everyone gets the boost from that. Zora gives an attack boost. It kind of just works really, really well. But as I said, Nami Karina is the hard one to replace, in my opinion. If you don't have Zora, of course, you need to find something that can get around that rainbow shield as well. So there are quite a lot of gimmicks, but as I said, Hiyori's going to be really good, and also that free-to-play Wiper, he actually will help you out a lot to get around some of the components on the final stage. So moving on to the Strength boss, this one actually has quite a lot of gimmicks, and there is a really certain way that they want you to deal with this quest. So versus Strength, they allow you to bring a team of Strength, Dex, or Quick. Of course, you can use just non-boosted or just fully boosted units on this list, but if you want to get around that, you want to build a team ideally of just Mono Quick. On Battle 2, there's going to be 6 turns, or it's actually 9 turns of bind to your top row, but of course after your bind sockets, it's only 6 turns. You get given a full board of badly matching slots. Well, you do get badly matching slots, but he counts all of your slots as badly matching for 5 turns, all type slots, so Strength, Dex, Quick, Sight, Int, they're badly matching for 5 turns, and then they do give you a full board of Strength slots, which of course they are treated as non-beneficial. The key thing here is that if you opt to have Roger Odin as your captain, they will change Strength slots into Wano for you, allowing you to give you a full board of Wano slots. So that's the way to get around it, really. That is one way, you know, to get around it. Another thing, though, is that they also kind of want you to use Kaido as well. It's kind of interesting, but you do see that the enemy does have 2 turns of resilience as well. The key thing here, though, is that the enemy has resilience, and they inflict bind on you on the initial turn. So that's pretty big because of the support of Raizo, which I have attached to Roger Odin on this team. This support right here is very, very good. It attaches to a lot of good units, and it says anytime you're inflicted with bind, you remove 1 turn of it, and you do a 5% health cut at the end of the turn. So this allows you to get around the resilience buff. So if you have any of these units, you know, that you can attach to, put it on the team, as long as it's a useful unit for your crew, that's going to be a massive, massive positive. So with this team, obviously we're going to have a full board of Strength slots, which are counted as badly matching. Sober Mask can change them into tandem, which is good. We also have Orochi on this team. Now Orochi's kind of key because not only does he get around the bind that's inflicted to the team, but his special also health cuts us. He does like an 80 or a 70% health cut, and that's important because when you reach the final stage, the enemy has 2 different preemptive attacks depending on how much HP you have. So if you have above 50% health, he inflicts like a lot more debuffs that you have to deal with, like additional despair and stuff like that, which is just kind of annoying. You don't want to deal with that. So you want to enter stage 3 when you're below 50% HP. So this kind of requires you to bring a health cutting character, which is why I'm running Orochi on this team. When we move on to the preemptive action, though, if you ideally get below that 50% threshold, there is a little bit less to deal with. There is still going to be an immunity, so you can actually apply increased damage taken and inflict defense down. So those are 2 components you may want to have a look into, because if you see that the enemy does have a lot of defense, 7 turns of defense, but the enemy does react to defense down, so that's kind of annoying too, where if you activate some kind of like defense down conditional boost, the enemy will just remove your beneficial effects. Now, I'm not 100% sure if the enemy removing beneficial effects means that they remove the defense down on themselves. If that is the case, then this team won't work, and you will have to bring a dedicated defense up remover rather than just setting their defense to 0, so do keep that in mind. You do see that there's 2 turns of slot bind to the top row as well. Kaido as a captain does have the ability to remove that, so does Roger and Odin. So either Kaido or Roger Odin are kind of like the most ideal units to use here as a captain. They really want you to use Roger Odin though, because you can get the full board of Wano slots on battle number 2. And that's pretty much it. Obviously, Sober Mask is going to be able to recharge his special very quickly. Remember that all your type slots are still going to be counted as badly matching for 5 turns starting from stage 2. So even when you reach stage 3, they're still going to be badly matching. So you do have to keep that in mind. You want to change your slots into Wano, Tandem, Recovery, Semler, Rainbow, etc. But of course, if you do use Roger Odin as the captain, you can use his EX Super and his special to give you a full board of Wano slots that you can keep for multiple turns. So ideally, if you have Roger Odin, just use them as the captain because it makes things a lot easier. Okay, so now we get to battle number 3, which is the Dex variation. So this team, you have strikers, shooters, and powerhouse receiving cooldown, and the fact that they list strikers and shooters, and it's a Dex fight, so you want strength units, my mind immediately thought to Whitebeard, the new 5+ Whitebeard, as well as the new Exchange Legend Ace. So in this quest, we're going to be talking more about like each individual component here, but ideally it's going to be using double ace captains. Now, battle number 2, you do see that you get a 95% health cut, which is normally a bad thing, but for this team it's a good thing. You also get 5 turns of Rainbow Shield, 5 turns of Burn. So with this team, the way that it's kind of structured is that the fact that you get the health cut is really good because you get more damage with your ace, of course. Now, the burn is removed via the Whitebeard special ability, which is very, very useful. Otherwise, you know, hitting perfects is kind of a bad thing. Now, we do have Blenheim, Namule, and Rakuyo. So this character being a Psy slasher powerhouse doesn't even get boosted by Ace. But the reason why we do this character is because you can use the super tandem of Whitebeard, which is very key, giving you lots more damage. But this special mainly is just here because it removes 6 turns of Rainbow Shield, helps you deal with that stuff on stage 2. And as I said, Whitebeard deals with the burn. That's obviously really, really good. And then we would ideally use the Friend Captain Ace special as well. That is going to be key because we want to keep the other Ace special with that support for when we reach the final stage. So when we actually reach the final stage, it does look like there's a lot of text here, but a lot of it you can kind of ignore, right? So there is attack down based on your chain. Ace's captain ability removes that. Normal attacks only. Immunity, but you can do defense down. But of course, Ace with his special does do ignite through immunity, so that's not a big issue. And of course, if you have that Ace as the friend, you would ideally use his special, and depending on the investment, his burn will actually go through immunity on the next turn. Remember, you can use it at stage 2, and it will inflict it again on stage 3, so that's the reason why we do that, because there is an interrupt if you use a special that actually gives you a conditional boost. So you do have to worry about that, but Ace's conditional lasts for 3 turns, so it's really not that big of an issue at all. Now, there is 6 turns of resilience, and that's very annoying to deal with, and there is also 6 turns of damage threshold. So the reason why we're running the way that we are here in terms of characters, right? We have this Luffy support attached to Ace. This Luffy was available from Sugo Metal Exchange a couple months ago, or at least last month or something. And if you use the special of the unit, it changes the character slot into recovery, and also allows you to remove 2 turns of resilience. Now, for removing the... so we have 5 turns of threshold removal with Morley, but in order to get around like the 6th turn of it, there's a couple different ways we can do it. We can use the Uta special with this Hina support. This Hina attached to Uta says that if we use the special, it removes threshold by 2, but you could also do it another way, and if you have this Otoko support, this will also work, which attaches to the Blenheim character. Or alternatively, you could have, you know, this Dex Jozu attached to Whitebeard, and don't use Whitebeard special on stage 2. You do get less damage, and you do have burn, so you have to be very cautious about that because you just straight up die if you hit it perfect. It is the more cautious way of going around it, but, you know, you need some other kind of supports in order to get around that. And then, as I said, we have this Morley character. The only reason why he's here is because he's a strength striker, so he gets like a lot of damage in this team. But also, his effect will remove resilience and threshold by 5. So as I said, we do need like 1 more turn of resilience removal, 1 more turn of threshold removal past level 30. And that's why we have those key supports of Luffy and Hina, or you could use Otoko or whatever it is. But of course, if you're not even going past level 30, it's not really required. But of course, you want to make sure you can get around level 31. That is going to be important, and this team will be able to do that. So with all of that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you guys did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.